Back in 2020, Hasbro gave us this beauty of a Spider-Man figure. Marvel Legends Retro Series Spider-Man. This groundbreaking figure boasted serious articulation upgrades and would become the foundation for future Spider-Man figures. For me, this is close to perfect. But over the years, there have been a few things I've tried to modify through kit bashing to see if I could cobble together my definitive Spider-Man. My journey actually started before I ever held Retro Spider-Man in my hands. You see, one of the shortcomings in this release is that the wall crawler did not come with wall crawling hands, which was well documented by YouTube reviewers at the time. Knowing that, I began my quest to enhance what I thought would be one of my favorite figures in my collection, and I needed to get my hands on some wall crawling hands. At the time, I could have chosen to grab Pizza Spidey or one of the teen Spider-Man figures. Trying to stay on a budget meant that I really only had one option, so I turned to eBay and I scored this 2-pack for around $35. Now these hands are not perfect because they are teen-sized hands and are slightly smaller than adult-sized wall-crawling hands. But beggars can't be choosers, so I pressed on. About a week later, this glorious package arrived at my doorstep. When I removed the figure from its packaging, I was initially thrilled, but that quickly changed to feelings of disappointment, which I can describe in 2 words. Misaligned webbing. You've gotta be kidding me. I tried to get a replacement from Hasbro, but no dice. Luckily, the second squinty-eyed head didn't have misaligned webs, so I rolled with that for the time being. And for a while, I was absolutely happy with my Spider-Man using this Ditko-esque head. I purchased the full first wave of Spider-Man Retro Series and began taking shots of him, all of those new figures, and some of the additional figures that weren't part of Wave 1. But deep down, I still wanted the properly aligned, non-squinty-eyed head sculpt. That's where Wave 2 came in. Now, the absolute star of that wave is the Symbiote Spider-Man, which is another near-perfect release. But I locked in on the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. Why? It gave me another shot at my coveted classic Spidey head sculpt, which meant I could semi-retire the squinty-eyed Spider-Man head, reserving it for expressive Spidey needs and replace it with this. Just look at those beautiful web lines. Later in 2022, the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man, Hasbro went webhead wacky and released a collection of new Spider-Man figures. There was a wide variety to choose from, including the Spider-Man and Friends 3-pack, the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, and the Renew Your Vows 2-pack Spider-Man. I was tempted to get them all, but then I got a hold of myself and decided to get the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man because I thought it'd be cool to get the retro-bodied Spider-Man as a pinless body and get appropriately sized wall-crawling hands. When the 2-pack arrived, I was so excited. I ripped open the package, pulled out the figures, and I got 2 right-handed wall-crawling hands. I was bummed to say the least, but I was happy to have the pinless Spidey body and a new Peter Parker head sculpt. Speaking of Peter, here's a rundown of the figures I have of everyone's favorite Daily Bugle photographer. The Peter on your right was part of the Wave 1 Retro Series and came out in 2020. He came stock with some glasses that I immediately removed. Peter on the left was part of the animated series VHS collection that came with Smythe. I grew up on the 90s animated series, so this was a must-have. I think all 3 of these Peter Parker heads look awesome on the Retro Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, and Symbiote bodies. Okay, back to Retro Spider-Man. Even though he didn't come with everything that I needed, I'm really happy to have all the kit bashing options to enhance the enjoyment of one of my favorite action figures. So to recap, my ideal Spider-Man based on kit bashing the figures in my collection includes these pieces. The Retro Spider-Man body, the Ultimate Spider-Man teen hands, the Ben Reilly Retro Wave head. I also love having a variety of different Peter Parker heads for unmasked Spider-Man fun. You may be wondering why I didn't opt for the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man body. After all, it is pinless and that should be better, but not in this case. Reason 1. The front Spider logo is a bit larger and specific to a run of comics that I don't have an attachment to. Reason 2. I prefer more vibrant colors for Spider-Man. These are darker tones of the blue and red suit we all know and love. Reason 3. The spider logo on the back gets broken up when you articulate the butterfly joints, which isn't the best for toy photography. So as a diorama artist who shoots figures in dioramas, that's less than ideal. That said, if Marvel Legends gave us a super deluxe Spider-Man figure, where they combine the retro wave paint job with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, I would consider that to be basically perfect, especially because the Renew Your Vows body has toe articulation. I've always been a fan of more muscular, artistic representations of Spidey. This figure is a great depiction of a physically mature, super strong hero. It's just such a classic look. I think it represents the artwork of my favorite Spider-Man comic artist, John Romita Sr., and I also think that it works as a great representation of the animated series. Speaking of the animated series, this retro wave Spider-Man works perfectly when paired with Aunt May, Mary Jane, and J. Jonah Jameson. He also looks poised to battle his entire rogues gallery in figure form. Hasbro has done a very good job of filling out this roster of villains, which makes toy photography with retro Spider-Man a blast. My Spider-Man collection of figures is my favorite subset of Marvel Legends in my collection, but retro Spidey's usefulness goes beyond that. He also looks great with the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, and really any other Marvel Legends figures from before or after his release. Even without all of the extra pieces that I picked up on this journey, I still really enjoy this figure just as it is, and I'm really grateful that Hasbro made it. At least for now, this figure is my definitive Spider-Man figure. What's your favorite Spider-Man action figure? Leave me a comment and let me know. One of my favorite things about having a collection is all of the memories and stories that I associate with my figures, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to some of those today. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, I think you're going to love this video series where I create a 60th anniversary Spider-Man diorama for my friend Carbon Scoring.
Vasco Toys. Action figure, dioramas, and props.